Okay, listen, if you have a course idea that's been sitting in your notes app for like, I don't know, 6 months, a year, maybe longer, and it's whispering, build me to you, I'm going to save you so much time today. We are going to talk about how to validate your course idea before you spend the next 3 weekends locked inside recording all the videos, never seeing the light of day. Most unsuccessful courses aren't necessarily bad ideas, they're just untested ones. If you take the time to test your idea with your audience before you start creating the content, you're more likely to have sales right away. You're going to have an audience that is ready for your product as soon as it's available. You could probably even beta test it and actually get paid while you're building it instead of creating all the content and then hoping the buyers come after you've spent all the time on it. You don't need a big audience or a bunch of fancy funnels. You just need a little data. So let's get into how you find that. So the first option is probably the most obvious, and that is going to be ask your audience. Right? I mean, just ask them, but you have to ask them the right questions. Don't just ask them, would you buy a course about this? Because people want to be supportive and they'll tell you yes when they really won't. You want to try to ask questions that reveal what they're actually struggling with. That way you can create a course around the solutions to those problems. These are questions like, what's the most frustrating part of blank right now? Fill in the blank with whatever it is that you teach. If I could make one thing easier for you in blank, what would it be? Which one of these problems do you want solved first? These kind of questions actually get your audience to tell you what it is they actually want help with. Because I know we've heard the saying like the audience doesn't actually know what they need. That's true to a point. You have to sell them what they want while giving them what they need, that kind of like balance. So this is a good way to figure out what that is. This is where you're getting your audience to tell you their pain points so that you can create content around what they're telling you they need, not what you think they need. Now, I know there's that whole marketing bit out there about the audience doesn't actually know what they need. They're telling you what they want, and you have to give them what they actually need. That plays into this as well, but what we want right now is for them to tell you what they think they need, and that way you can use that to create what they actually need in a way that they think they're getting just what they want. We're not talking about Jedi mind tricks here, just getting people what they actually need to get the transformation that they want. The next thing I want you to do after asking your audience is to go where the pain lives. Maybe your audience isn't talking directly to you right now, or maybe you don't have a very big audience right now. That's totally fine. There are plenty of places online where you can go get the answers that you're looking for. This could be places like Reddit, Facebook groups, TikTok comments, like wherever you hang out, wherever you know your audience hangs out. That's where you want to go to kind of see what people are chatting about. I used to go into Facebook groups a lot and just search. Like you can ask in there if you want to, if it's not against the group rules, and see what you get in terms of answers that way. But if you don't want to ask, or the owner doesn't want to let you ask, or whatever, then you can just go in there and start seeing what people are talking about. You could search in the Facebook group for like a keyword around whatever it is that you do or teach on and see what kind of posts and comments come up. That way, that can give you a lot of really good information. And if you start to see people complaining or asking or being confused about the same thing over and over and over again, then that is where you should start. So the next thing that you can do is create a test version of your course. Now, I'm not talking about building out the whole thing. That's what we want to test before we actually spend the time to do that, right? I'm talking more about like maybe a workshop or like a mini version of the course, or maybe like one module of the course, maybe a live training or an email challenge that has some of the content, or even like a mini workbook or something like that, like the scrappiest version of your course that you can make. What you could do with this is sell it at a super cheap price to get people to kind of test whether or not that transformation is something that people are interested in buying. With this little like baby course, you are not testing the content itself, because when you make your full like signature course of it, you're going to have everything in there. This is testing the interest in the topic. That's what you want to test with this one. You want to know that there is an audience out there who is interested in learning, who wants to know, who is willing to spend money on this transformation that you're offering. So once you've asked your audience, done a little bit of online research, and created your little test version, if you find that the interest around your course is a little lukewarm, that's okay. Try the test again, tweak your angle a little bit. Maybe adjust what the outcome is going to be, maybe narrow down the transformation a little bit. People tend to get overwhelmed if the transformation is too big or there's too many steps. You want to like kind of make it baby steps. You know what I'm saying? Once you've reached a point where you're happy with the interest in your course, the next thing that you can do is sell a beta version of your course. So this is what you would do before you start building it. And this is what allows you to get paid while you're creating your content. So you sell your course, you let people know that it's a beta version, that the content's not all ready yet. Maybe you have a little bit of it ready for when they sign up because they're going to be excited, and that way they can dive into something immediately, but you tell them that your content's going to roll out every week or every month or however often you want to do it. You offer it at a much lower price than what you would like to ultimately offer it as once it's completed. But this gets people in the door, it gets the money in your bank account, and also lets you validate as you go because you can ask those people, they're beta testers, right? So that's part of it. You can ask them as you go how they feel about the content. Are there any pieces that are confusing to them? Is there any additional resources that you could add that would make it helpful for them as they move through the program, that kind of thing. That way, when you're done with creating all of the content, you have a full complete course now that is ready to be sold at the price that you want to sell it at, and you've had feedback all along that makes it a no-brainer for new people to sign up at the full regular price. Now, I'm not recommending these steps because I want you to spend a whole lot of time doing extra work. What I want to happen for you is I don't want you to spend all the time making your whole course without getting any validation along the process and then putting it out to the world for whatever price you want to sell it at and nobody buys it. Okay, that's not what I want for you at all. I want you to make sure that your audience and the rest of the interwebs out there knows that your course is valuable and that you get their feedback from as to what they want to see in a course like that as you go. That way, once it is ready, they're ready to jump on it. Now, if you are just starting out, planning out your course, not even really sure what you're going to do yet, make sure you grab my Create a Course Starter Kit. It's free. I'll link it in the description. It'll be in the pinned comment too. Grab that to get started. It walks you through all the steps of organizing your ideas so you can stop staring at that blank screen. I also just want to throw in as a side note that validated courses also lead to much easier marketing down the road because you already have the info that you need as to the language and the pain points and all of those things that your audience is telling you that they have that you can use in your marketing, which makes it a whole lot easier for sales pages and all that fun stuff. So go validate that idea, make money before you start building anything, and go grab the starter kit if you want an outline to help get things rolling. Okay, see you next time. Bye.